naman po, possible compensation under the second to up to a maximum of 100,000. And then po, for permanent disability or death due to serious adverse effects pa rin, ang payment po is a lump sum of 100,000. But it can only be paid once per beneficiary. So, kung nabayaran na po siya sa permanent disability ng 100,000, in case na death, wala na po siyang additional pang 100,000. So what are the claimable cases? So this, as I said, these are serious causes identified by PhilHealth. So initially dun sa annex, we adopted yung list ng Brighton collaboration. However, kung meron pang mga cases in the future na ma-identify, it will be subject to extensive review and then updating na lang po ng mga list. And then the case should be vaccine product related reaction or vaccine quality defect reaction by causality assessment. So dito po talaga papasok yung importance ng causality assessment at yung result nun, that it should be A1 or A2. And then it should result nga to hospitalization, permanent disability, or death. In case po na hindi na hospitalized, hindi po siya claimable. Kasi the law only mentioned kasi hospitalization, permanent disability, and death. Now, in case meron kailangan mag-include or mag-exclude ng cases, it will be subject to review nga at update. Then PhilHealth will secure experts to gather available evidence and establish causality. And right now po, the established experts naman po on causality assessment are the RAFIC in respective regions, and then final is the NAFIC on the national level. So, ito po yung flow. I also use this kasi in orienting our regional staff. So, kayo familiar dito, but to them, I explain how it is being done, the causality assessment and the levels of supervision. Okay, as to the claimants, so, syempre yung principal can claim in case he or she is unable to file the claim. So, ang susunod would be the primary beneficiaries, legal spouse until he or she remarries, or children. If it's illegitimate, then 50% yung share of the legitimated children. And then secondary beneficiaries would be the legitimate parents. So, ano po yung mga elements, kung eligible? At least one vaccine was received to the COVID-19 vaccination program. So, basta at least one. So, kung sa abroad yung una, tapos meron yung isa dito, so eligible siya. Second, the vaccine do not have yet a certificate of product registration. So, pag nagkaroon na po ng CPR yung mga vaccine, from then on, yung mga naka-receive nun, will not be covered by the indemnity. Kasi by that time, kung meron na siyang CPR, authorized na siya to manufacture, to market and sell na yung product. So, hindi na po siya under ng indemnity. And then kung yung beneficiary ay nag-claim sa COVAX no-fault compensation program, hindi na rin po siya eligible. We did this to para po marami yung pwedeng maging beneficiaries ng fund because limited lang naman yung amount na naka-allot for this. So para walang doble-doble compensation. Then, eligible kung yung causality assessment niya is vaccine product related reaction or vaccine quality defect related reaction.
Dr. Can you just explain yung COVAX and FCP para mas clear sa atin?
Okay. So, yung vaccine na nare-receive binibigay under the National Vaccine COVID-19 Vaccine Program is either donated or bought, no, under the tripartite agreement. So these are under the program. Ngayon, yung COVAX na nag-donate had its own no-fault compensation program na ini-implement sa mga countries, including the Philippines. So kung in case na yung donated nila mag-develop ng reaction, meron pong, pwede pong mag-claim yung recipient under this program. But since this is also under the National Vaccination Program, pwede rin actually mag-claim under indemnity, under yung sa atin, sa COVID-19 Indemnity Fund. Kasi po, pag nag-claim na sila doon, hindi na sila eligible dito sa indemnity ng COVID-19 Indemnity Fund. Pero kung hindi naman, because limited din yung kanilang, I think yung kanilang program, no, until fund is available, then kung hindi sila doon nag-claim, pwede sila mag-claim naman dito sa indemnity. Basta isa lang po yung kanilang sa atin, kung naka-receive na sila doon, hindi na sila makaka-receive dito sa indemnity fund.
Thank you, Dr. Ann. But I think this is one point where next time we will have the IHC or the NBOC representative explain what is the COVAX. Kasi baka mas mataas naman yung COVAX na claim kesa sa inyo. So maybe we just need to look at that, no? And then the second one is, alam natin, because we have a multiple platform now, so depende sa batch and lot number later on, very important yung line listing ng lot number, yung batch number, so that we will know kung COVAX or non-COVAX. Tapos ang mangyayari dyan, alam naman natin na ang COVAX ay A1, A2, A3. Kung COVAX ka, tapos ginamit sa A4, di naman USL, wag mag-claim sa COVAX, doon na lang sa indemnity. So may maraming mga repercussions yung pagsunod sa ating mga guidelines. Thank you, Dr. Remonte. You can go ahead.
Apo. Actually talaga pong mas malaki ang COVAX na yung nila compensation program.
Pero kung ginamit naman niya sa A4 at alam naman natin na bawal sa A4, pinipilit
Mag-iwan siya doon sa
pabalik natin sa Philippines.
Apo. Yeah, marami pong consideration.
See,
To continue,
where's he? Aha. I can touch.
so yung hospitalization, so ang the maximum is 100,000. In case na hospitalized ulit for the same adverse effect following immunization, pwede pa siya mag-claim hanggang hindi niya na-reach yung cap na 100,000. So, pwede siya mag-file more than once. However, sa death nga or permanent disability, isa beses lang siya makakapag-claim. But, kung in case na na-hospitalize, so meron siyang claim doon, tapos eventually, during hospitalization, nagkaroon ng permanent disability or death, pwede na niyang mag-claim yun ng sabay. No, yung
No.
hospitalization.
I'm so loud.
These are the claims filing requirements po. Ang po is yung proof ng COVID-19 vaccination, like a vaccine card. Eventually, hopefully po, mabigyan din kami ng access to the registry ng recipients para hindi na mahirap mag-verify mga recipients ng vaccination program. And then, ito po yung mga forms na naka-annex naman at naka-post sa website: vaccine injury form, vaccine injury assessment form to be accomplished by the attending physician. Sa hospital, yung statement of account, kasi ito po is a form of reimbursement, so doon po kami mag-base ng ibabayad, at saka yung mga official receipts. So kung permanent disability naman po, meron ding vaccine injury assessment survey, because dito po titingnan kung meron ng talaga, kung pasok siya dun sa injury, and then baka merong other requirements na pwedeng mag-support ng kanyang disability claim, pwede niya rin i-attach. Kung death naman po, ang additional is the death certificate, syempre. Now, kung mga beneficiaries yung mag-file, so ipapakita yung proof ng kanilang affiliation dun sa affected, no? Or dun sa primary beneficiary. So, ito po yung rules ng adjudication. Actually, kung meron na pong causality assessment, we adopted yung schedule ng PhilHealth na within 60 days following that receipt ng complete claim. Pero po, kung wala pa, we will refer muna to the National Adverse Event Following Immunization Committee for causality assessment. Then, from then on, we could act na on the claim. Tapos, on claims evaluation, we will check kung covered ba by prevailing issuances, kung eligible nga ba to receive payment, and then amount of subject for reimbursement. If not eligible for payment, made-deny po yung claim. Pero, meron pong dalawang levels ng appeal. Una is motion for reconsideration. So, susulat siya ulit sa amin sa we call it Program Management Team for COVID-19 Indemnity Fund. So, in case ma-deny ulit yun, then pwede pa rin siyang mag-file ng appeal sa aming protest and appeals review division. But if approved for payment, PhilHealth will notify the claimant. Ito po, upon receiving the payment, the beneficiary waives any right to file suit against public official and employees, contractors, manufacturers, or volunteers and representatives of duly authorized private individuals involved in the administration of COVID-19 vaccine. So ito po yung sinasabing part po ito ng kaya no-fault compensation po. So sa fund management rules, a trust fund shall be created because this is a program of PhilHealth. And then the transfer of funds, since this is will be sourced from the contingent fund, so may mga rules na follow. Ito transfer lang po ito sa PhilHealth after we submit a special budget request to BBM, then subject to the schedule ng fund release from the Bureau of Treasury, tapos PhilHealth will submit regular financial reports. So fund adjustment, PhilHealth will monitor the utilization of fund, and then we set the threshold of 70%. No, kung meron ng 70% utilization, or meron na lang 30% remaining, we will inform the permanent committee for possible increase or additional funding. Because PhilHealth will reimburse claims as long as the funds are available and replenished. And PhilHealth will continue to conduct regular review of the compensation package. So these are the forms sa annexes sa circular. I think this is the last slide. So, effective po upon publication, pero applicable dun sa period nung nag-start or nung naging effective yung RA 11525, which was March 3, 2020. That, so in summary, so it's a COVID-19 is a vaccine injury compensation package. Marami po kasi nagsasabi it's not parang it's not enough to compensate yung loss of life or whatever. But this was conceptualized as a gratuity payment o ex gratia that we use as a yardstick other compensation programs like OWA, and then yung mga existing jurisprudence for award dun sa mga moral damages, and then yung car insurance, yung maximum coverage. So we use that, and that's 100,000. And this is on top of PhilHealth benefits under the National Health Insurance Program. Of course, it will always be subject to review and updating. So processing of benefits under PhilHealth is decentralized, diba? So sa mga regional offices namin yan nire-review. But this COVID-19 vaccine injury package will be processed central office under a program management office. And then the causality assessment is important in determining whether the claim is compensable or not. So, thank you very much po. Over.
Thank you, Dr. Ann, for a very clear presentation from the chair. Just a few reiteration. Number one, the causality assessment. It's very important that we have immediate causality from the RAFIC and the NAFIC. No? But the NAFIC will come later. But at least at the beginning, you have a causality assessment. Maybe as we go along, we will see if that how soon can you relate the adverse event to the immunization. Next is the duration. You said it starts from March 3. Based on the law, alam ko we will monitor for 1 year. Did you give any deadline? Or is it until you have the CPR? So that is the limiting point. Tama, Dr. Ann?
Actually, yung compensation program po is 5 years or makomplete natin yung program whichever comes earlier. Now, as to the filing of claims, we did not set po yung
1
claim
year.
parang kung kailan ilang days after the event. Because
Okay.
ang assumption po is baka po hindi agad nila mag-complete, no? Anyway, pero meron naman talagang magde-determine upon totality assessment, i-consider din naman yung element ng time from vaccination to the event. So, hindi namin muna yun nilagay. And then, if you would notice po, sa requirements namin na isasubmit ng claimant, hindi rin namin nilagay yung causality assessment because it might come later. So, kami na lang po, kung ma-receive namin yung claim at wala, we will refer to the experts for causality assessment para hindi na rin makatagal doon sa beneficiary. Over.
Thank you. That's very good, Dr. Ann. A few more points. Yung sa no-fault compensation for the R-box and the L-box, just to reiterate, the importance of designating a vaccination center. No? So, pag hindi naman siya designated at saka nagbigay siya ng bakuna, hindi ka makaka-claim ng compensation kasi in the first place, hindi siya recognized na able to do the vaccination program. And then, it's important that you have a list of these vaccination centers and that these are registered in the line list. Later on, at the time of Christian, he will answer whether PhilHealth can be given access to the registry of recipients so that it's faster for PhilHealth to access the line list. And then, this is an ongoing discussion because you will need a vaccination certificate, the authentication, the verification, etc. is being currently discussed. Sino ang magbabalidate? But I think the ultimate reference will be a list that you have encoded correctly, name, age, etc., in the line list. So, yun lang ang points that I'd like to reiterate. Do we have any questions, Sarah, from the chat box, or are there any hands raised for questions or clarification?
Yes po, Yusek, first question po is there a mechanism or process to know whether a vaccine has already received compensation from COVAX and NEPSI? Over po.
Tayo mag-determine yan, Dr. That's why I said yes, because it's the COVAX. So I'd like the BIHC and our team to come up with that next week so that so every day I take a step separately. And kasi tayo naman ang nakakalam kung COVAX at tayo ang mag-claim sa COVAX. Although mukhang hindi pa yata nagagawa yung guidelines. So I think that's one topic that we will have in one NBOC meeting. Okay, sige, next meeting, next question.
Next question po, can a non-PhilHealth member receive compensation? Over. Thank you.
Yes po. Opo. However, kung non-member, wala siyang PhilHealth, ipapa-attach po namin yung, papa-accomplish po namin ang aming PhilHealth membership registration form para ma-register na rin siya sa PhilHealth. Pero, opo, hindi po exclusive na dapat registered siya sa Over.
Thank you po.
Okay, any more? Sarah?
Yes po. Another question, is there a specific documentary requirement needed to pertaining to the assessment was vaccine product related reaction or vaccine faulty defect related reaction? Over.
Doon po sa, yung aming titingnan is the vaccine, is the causality assessment. However, yung mga nag-assess po, will look into several records to assess the causality. Pero kami yung causality assessment po yung document.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you po. Thank you po. This question po from CAR, VOC. May we ask po if the regional PhilHealth offices are already oriented of this circular? We have coordinated with them for conduct of orientation to all concerned health facilities and parks. Thank you. Over po.
Opo, we oriented our regional offices also. Over.
Thank you po. No more questions po in this
Yusek
time po.
Mirna.
Yes, Asik Francie, go ahead.
Yes. Yusek Mirna, kahapon po kasi nag-conduct na po kami ng one-on-one meeting with our local chief executive. Kahapon po Quezon, kanina po yung Rizal. Nandyan po sila governor, PHO, mga mayors. Meron po sana kaming concerns lang na gusto namin i-raise. Gusto po sana ng mga LCEs natin, makasama rin sila sa meeting doon sa 8 o'clock meeting natin, yung daily meeting with Secretary Beans. Kasi since kasama po ang Rizal, like specific for Rizal po ito, since kasama naman po ang Rizal sa NCR plus bubble, baka pwede na rin po natin silang ma-invite sa ating mga daily meetings with the Beans. Number 1 po yon, pwede po ba maghihingi tayo ng permiso kung pwedeng maisama sila. May mga concerns din po kasi sila na hindi nila alam kung ano talaga yung nangyayari. So, but I think the regions are here in the daily meetings. So, dapat sana nakakascade din ang region doon sa mga LCEs. Pero ang gusto rin po sana ng LCEs, makasama rin sila on board during the daily meetings with Secretary Beans. Tapos po, meron pong isang concern yung pong may mga companies, private companies po kasi ang ibang mga municipalities, nagre-request po sa ating LGU kung pwede mag-set up sila ng vaccination site, tapos kasama po sa vaccination team ang LGU. Ang unang tanong po nila, meron na po ba tayong template ng MOA or MOU kung may ganitong setup? Tapos pangatlo po, nangihingi din po sila ng template ng tripartite MOA kung ang LGU po, kasi po sa isang meeting po previously, nasabihan ata sila ni Secretary Galvez na wag muna bumili ng vaccines ang mga LGU. But there are some LGUs daw po na gustong bumili, baka pwede silang makapartner with their private sector, mga companies ng private sector doon sa kanilang LGU. Baka daw po meron tayong tripartite MOA na template na pwedeng makipag-MOA ang LGU with the private sector para din po sila ay makapagbili ng vaccine. And then, ang fourth po na concern was request po nila kung pwede daw pong ma-extend kahit hanggang December yung hiring ng ating HRH dito sa COVID-19 vaccination program. Yun po yung 4 na concerns that was raised in our meeting yesterday with Quezon and Rizal. So we will just take note of this. We will make this in a formal communication din po sa inyo, Yusek Mirna. But just for me to let everyone know that some of these concerns might also be concerns of your regions and your LGU. Thank you. Over to you, Yusefina.
Thank you, Asik Francie. This is part of the other matters. Duly noted. Do we have any concerns or questions, manifestations on the compensation package for COVID-19?
Hey, stop!
Yes, po, Yusek, there's another question. How about those who are probably vaccinated abroad? Are they also covered by this COVID-19 vaccine due to compensation?
Okay, if the two vaccines or the one or two doses are received abroad, so hindi na po siya under the program, hindi na po siya covered.
Thank you. And also, we have some vaccinations in the embassies, which is not part of the vaccines procured under EUA by the Philippine government. Hindi kasama yung juris nila. No, hindi kasama yung mga vaccines for any adverse event following. So we cannot overemphasize the importance of the registry to the line list, and that these are administered under our NDDP, under EUA, with a recognized facility. Okay, so any more last few questions? One or two, Sarah?
If there are no more questions in the chat box,
Okay, so maraming salamat, Dr. Ann. Very clear and very comprehensive presentation. Maraming salamat. So let's now go to, yes?
there's another question po, this now from Ivan. Under the faculty assessment, how can vaccines access if such committee? Over.
Okay, right now po, the causality assessment is being performed now by a group of experts in the region we call Regional Adverse Event Following Committee, RAFIC and Committee, and then under the national, meron din. Inaayos ko po yung flow ng information kung paano makakarating doon sa sa mga mismong vaccination information kung nagawan sila ng assessment. Pero part po ng, I think, ng result will be given to the vaccination center at saka doon sa patient. Pero inaayos pa po yung flow doon ng under EPM. Over.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Ann. I think this has also been discussed in one of our NBOC meetings, that importante yung response and communicating back. Kung nag-report ka ng adverse event, dapat naka-communicate back ng committee at the region or at the national level, ano na yung assessment mo. So, just the point raised by Dr. Ann, it's important that we communicate back. We'll have to follow this. Okay, wala na, Sarah?
Yusek, Dr. Gab Berlongan would like to mention.
Okay, Dr. Berlongan, we can manifest.
Yes po, quick lang po. So, kaya important po for all the RBOX and TELBOX for proper detection po. So, while the PhilHealth claims assessment, vaccine injury compensation package will be a faster route for us to know at the national level and also the regional level kung alin po yung mapaprioritize for causality. Over.
Thank you, Dr. Gab, and that presumes that you have already, after you finalize your updates on the adverse event following immunization committee assessment and arrangement, it's important that this is cascaded through our regions, through the RESUS and the RAFICs. Okay, so are there any more, Dr. Sarah?
No more po, Yusek. Thank you po.
Okay. Again, thank you for all those who made the manifestation. Thank you, Dr. Gab, and thank you very much, Dr. Ann. Let's now go to the line listing and timelines next updates from DICT through Mr. Christian Chua. Go ahead, Christian.
Madam Chair, good afternoon. I'll ask my colleague po si Dina Tiesa to present the updates on the line. And we'll present first the updates, Madam Chair, on how to account for the privately procured vaccines when these are administered by government entities. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Right. Madam Chair, colleagues, we have updated for the PCPs. We have updated their reporting portal. As we can module, they are now required to identify whether the source of vaccine is from a national government purchase, local government purchase, or private sector purchase. On the right-hand side, this is the inventory module. Same information are now required. What was the source of the inventory that they are keeping in stock in their facility? So with this additional information field, Madam Chair, colleagues, we can do an inventory accounting of the vaccine use, vaccine supply, vaccine use, and of the ending inventory. Going now to the line list. Okay, as of July 7, these are the statistics of our line list submission. So focusing on the second column, total count of March 1 to July 7, line list right now, the BIMS database is around 4 million. So last week it was around 3 million, so we have an increase of 1 million. Looking at the different regions, for highest submission is in the NCR region, followed by Region 4A and Region 2. These are in line with our expectations. From now until July 15, we are focusing for the LGUs to complete their backlog. Next slide, please. As a strategy in focusing our limited resources both at the national and the local level, we are adopting this phased approaches to be able to complete and meet our performance target for the line list submission. The phase 1, we are our line list. We want from now to July 15, the LGUs will be able to complete their line list backlog. Line list backlog refers to vaccination date readiness of the submission, where we will monitor on a daily basis that the line list submitted by the LGU constitutes 80 to 100% of their vaccination for the day. Our target deadline here is August 13. And lastly, for phase 3, this is where we will emphasize more, focus more our resources in reviewing the accuracy of the line list submitted. So we're going to start this from August 13 and have a target end date of August 20, wherein by August 20, we'll issue a data quality assessment report that will identify and diagnose and provide recommendations on the key data quality issues that we found from the line list submitted from the backlog of phase 1 and also from the current daily line list submitted phase 2. Next slide, please. Okay. Madam Chair, today are the updates that we have for the line list submission, as well as for the accounting of inventory procured by the private sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Christian. We have Dean.
Do we
That's all po. That's all po, Isaac. Apa. Hindi ko rin po isip po. Okay na po, Isaac.
Okay, so do we have any updates maybe for DICT later on? Can you just relay the request of PhilHealth for access to the registry of the line list or the recipients when they will do the injury compensation review? So this will be
Yes, Madam
relayed
Chair.
to Dr.
Yes.
Ann.
We're preparing the facilities for the access of our colleagues in the government. We're prioritizing first the access for our colleagues in the CHD level. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Christian and Dean. If there are no questions on the data management, just to reiterate, no, partners in the regions for the PhilHealth. Hopefully, they are already on board on the RBOX, either member of the regional vaccine operation centers or they're invited to shed light to your RBOX and the LBOX, no? And also to reiterate that there have been assigned focal persons from the DICT to help you in your problems of reporting, etc. Okay, so if there are no questions, I'd like to do my presentation by way of update. Sham, sino ang kwan? Sarah, nasa iyo na ba yung presentation ko?
Isek, it's with Dr. Santo.
Isek, far away lang. Okay, we give you updates. Next slide, please. Congratulations, everyone, for reaching the 12 million. As of July 7, we have 12 million jobs, 9.3 are first doses, and 3 million are second doses. If you notice the press statement and emphasis of Sec Galvez, ito yung sinasabi niyang disparity. While apparently we have gone very fast with our first doses, it's important that we also emphasize the importance of the second dose. We all know that in our 3.3 million, there is the 1.5 million AstraZeneca that will be due August. So, pag naglagay tayo ng 1.5, that is 4.5. So, that will mean about half are still on the 21 days, 28 days, but we need to rush. Hence, the importance is for you to be able to complete the second doses, and the using of second dose as first dose is while it is not strongly discouraged, please make sure that you have available second doses. That's the first point of Sec Galvez. I know we'd like to talk to you again. You will see his available time. So, importante yan, emphasis niya, second dose. Complete the second dose. Pangalawa, kailangan i-emphasize natin, that's why the next slide, you will see A1, A2, and A3. No? With the Delta variant coming in, it's important that we vaccinate the most at risk and the most vulnerable. These are A1, A2, and A3, and complete the dose. No? For instance, in UK, while they have increasing cases, they do not have increase in hospitalization and deaths because most of their population are vaccinated, and they take pride in vaccinating more than 90% of their adult population, 60 and above, with 2 doses of the vaccine. No? So you have here the priority group A1. We stop at 1.6 so that we do not continue adding and adding to our master list. This is our last line master list, 1.6. We have vaccinated 1.5, and we are have second dose of 1.1. So, 390. Sana matapos na ito, ano? So, if they are part of the AstraZeneca, 1.5 million, they should receive it by August or end of July. So, we hope we can catch up with our second dose for our vaccine A1, vaccinated A1. Next, mamaya na kayo mag-check. So, nag-update habang nagkuhan. So, 12.4 na. Kasi mali yung total kanina. Okay. And then, ito na yung expanded A1. 157,828 it will depend on the availability of vaccine. So it's not only A2, but even the expanded A1 will be the priority for the incoming vaccine, including the COVAX vaccine. No? So, 151 pa ang kailangan nating, because these are just new. In terms of senior citizens, no, ang layo. Ito yung sinasabi. Although we recognize that it was the AstraZeneca that we gave the 60 years and above. So hopefully, pag nag 1 point, pag nag 1.5 na, tataas na yung second dose ng ating senior citizen. And you see that we are far behind, no? 2/8, 1/4. So we're only 25% of our first doses for our senior target. No? This is already based on your master list. No? And for our individual with comorbidities, again, it's 10% of the population 18 and above per area while away. And if there is a discrepancy between the master list, then you'll have to prove by LGU mas mataas ba yung estimate o mas mababa ba yung estimate based on your master list. For Group A4, we have estimated, that is estimated at 35.5 million. So, we have been requesting for NEDA to give us the breakdown by area. No? Kasi depende sa area, depende din sa essential frontline health workers and the poor and the population for A5. No? So, this gives us also our inventory. So based on the consumption report, we have 3.9 unadministered second doses. So please make sure that you have job these second doses. At ito total natin, 12.5 plus 3.9, so we have about 17 million. We need to account for the vaccines that are available. Next slide, please. So these are our, ano sabi ko kanina? 17 million. So more or less accounting for our 17 million. So please make sure that our reports tally, our inventory tally, our received, administered, our delivered, injected tally. No? So in doses, we have from our various sources 16.4 million. Sinovac is procured, Pfizer is COVAX, although we are going to have a Pfizer non-COVAX, the procured Pfizer by July something, July 19. AstraZeneca is still COVAX, and then the Moderna is procured. And then we have our other recipients. We will update the RBOX later on the arrangements and on the details of our private sector jobs. No? So we have from the PhilChai 500,000. Many of them have coordinated with the LGUs. And then for Manila, it has procured 400,000 Sinovac. For the integrated container something from Rason, Mr. Rason, we have 99,600 doses of Moderna. Next slide, please. So ito, we have written you already, but just to show that we need to prioritize A1, no? So for the next batch of vaccines, we will look at your number of unimmunized A1, A2, and A3. So these are the areas from NCR to BARM. And we have written you all of this. And if you can increase your coverage by supplies permitting. Lahat kayo nagsabi, depende sa availability ng supply. Depende sa availability ng supply. Pero mayroon kayong report na A3, A4, A5. So some there are leakages or some are QSL. And then to account for the vaccines, please already encode in your line list. Kahit man nagkamali noon ng pagbigay ng bakuna sa A4, A5, you were forced to or whatever, please encode them already. Kasi yan, pag hindi siya naka-encode, paano kung nag-adverse event? Kung hindi siya naka-encode, paano siya magbibigyan ng vaccine certificate pag nag-abroad siya? So that is incumbent on all the local government units implementing and other facilities implementing the program that these are really encoded. Next slide please. For A2 in NCR, we have already communicated this with Director Glo, and they are trying their best, no? And for the ARBOC team, no? It has been emphasized, kayo ang so hindi automatic given the availability of vaccines. So the other regions, NCR has been given so many vaccines, and yet their A2 is still very low. So please advocate, have other strategies. We have discussed this time and again. Next slide, please. These are the directives. We have the priority group A2. Meron tayong final last mile. Ano ba talaga yung number ng master listed ng population, no? So, hindi pwede pong mas mataas yung accomplishment nyo sa master listed. Although wala naman nakaka-reach ng mas mataas yan. Please make sure that you master list correctly and these are recorded. So, we will have a last mile, although we know mga magsi-60 and above after several months kung i-include natin o hindi, no? So, if you can accomplish 95% of the priority A2 by end of July, supplies permitting, or pwede natin later, then you vaccinate 40% of the remaining unvaccinated priority group 2 in other regions by 15 July. Ang problema nga, nagkaroon tayo ng shortage, no? Walang delivery ng Sinovac this week and next week. And then, we need to evaluate our senior citizens and then all of this data. We have shared individually and we have written the different RBOCs and the regions. Next slide, please. So these are the vaccines that are arriving. There is a donation from the government of Japan today, arriving tonight, 1.1 million. So this is non-COVAX. And basically it will be for NCR and just a few for other regions. If we can have by today and tomorrow, sino ba yung mga regions who need the second dose of AstraZeneca? Although dadating naman na yung donated by COVAX tomorrow also, no? So 2.28 million, 1.5 will go to your second dose, yung mga binakunahan nyo ng May and June, yun yung arrival. So please tell them that their doses are arriving. Medyo na late yung Sputnik V. We have the component 1, tatlong klase yan. Component 2, 50,000 to match the component 1. So yung mga nabigyan ng initially, nandito na po yung component 1. Component 2. And there is now an approved EUA from 21 days ang interval ng component 1 Sputnik to 42 days. Although as a general rule, if you miss the interval of your vaccine, the regular interval, pwede pang 3 to 6 months. But the earlier you give as soon as they're available, the better, no? At then yung component 1, dalawang one yan because one is expiring soon and the other is may 82,200. May Sinovac tayo that is arriving July 14, but this is for NCR plus 8. yung July 17, we will see how it will fare, no? Moderna, from government and private, konting-konti lang naman yan. And then there's a Sinovac 2.5 million kung mag-materialize yan. And then we have the Pfizer, meron ng distribution yan, 562 NCR plus 8. And those who would like to try the Pfizer and those whom we have already done the trial runs. And then there's a new Pfizer, 375,000. These are the procured Pfizer. Ang sabi ni Sec Charlie, many of your needs will be accomplished, will be met when we have the 3 million J&J donated vaccine. These are single-dose vaccines. So hopefully magamit natin yan. It will be based on an immunized A1, A2, and A3. You have the base for all the regions, and we prioritize and we compute based on the unimmunized A1, A2, and A3. So, kung medyo madidelay ng konti, we will have the J&J that will be arriving by the end of the month to help us through the vaccination of our A1, A2, and A3. And this is single dose. Okay, I think that's the last slide unless nakalagay ng consumption.
One down.
Okay, so that's from my end. Are there any questions?
Isaac, there are questions in the chat box.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Yes, po. From Dr. Juanico, we would like to inquire if we can store some buffer of AstraZeneca. Some OFWs mentioned that their countries of destination are vaccine brand specific po. Thank you. Over.
Yes, we will see how we can address that. Kasi ang problema niyan, kung isa, dalawa lang sila and then you open one vial, sayang din naman. Baka you will need to, anong tawag dyan? You will need to collapse, no? You will need to join other areas para you can give to others. We will look into that. We have some buffer from NBOC for this one. So that's noted, Dr. Banico.
Thank you for Isaac. Next question po from Dr. Baton. How will we report private procured vaccines to trackers? Thank you. Over.
Meron, di ba? Yung sinabi ni Dr. Christian, there's already a module where you can indicate whether it's NG,
Local government or private
local
sector.
government. Pero may lalagay na ba yan sa tracker? Kasi wala pa tayong visibility. Sa regular meeting, ito yung sinasabi ni Dr. Asek Francie, our Monday morning, we're starting to have a visibility on what are the private procured and what are the private jobs. Ready na ba ito, Christian? In the next how many days? Sa tracker.
Ready na po, Madam Chair. Currently being used po by the cities po, the NCR plus.
So, in the key cities, hindi pa nationwide, but we will progress there, no? It will be available and it will be seen in the tracker later on. Okay. So, wala na?
Isaac, there's another question po from Ma'am Lucita Tagubin. The procurement of vaccines for private entities po, they will be the one to contact the vaccine manufacturer back? Thank you. Over.
Yes, but it will be through a tripartite OWA with the DOH, NTF, the manufacturer, and the private company. I think in one of the NBOC, we were able to share with you the templates and to address, but hindi ganun kadali bumili ng private or even LGU ng vaccines, no? Considering the shortage in supply, and then kung maliit lang yung procurement mo, baka not available. Anyway, Doktora Sham can put the guidelines here, and then kung sino yung i-contact ninyo. it has already been shared with the NBOC, RBOX at one time, but Sham can maybe put the guidelines here on how to do the tripartite OWA. Okay? Any more? Anyway, we are vaccinating now, no? Yung mga procured vaccine can be used for A4 in the NCR plus 8, and we have issued the guideline that for areas where there are surge, you can use this for A4. The surge areas do not need to be listed by the IATF. At the regional level, depende sa indicators ninyo. The region can already indicate and then give you advice kung pwedeng mag A4 and A5. But please prioritize natin A1, A2, and A3. Okay. So, okay na ba tayo? Okay, Dr. Baton, question?
Yeah, Yusek, question po. Nangyari po sa Bohol, nagsabi po na yung Sputnik is to be used for A4 dahil daw po inalaw ni Department of Tourism, yet you are not able to receive any advisory from NPOC to that effect. Will this be happening po? Kasi naguguluhan na kami, DOT daw yung nag-grant na gamitin sa A4, pero yung advice natin is A4 is only for the phase 1. Si Bohol po is kasama sa phase 1 po ng granting natin sa A4. So advice namin yung Department of Tourism, are they allowed to do that po? Thank you.
Aside from the fact that we will need the A4 depende sa surge level, yes sir, as we are opening the economy, there are initiatives. Hindi naman pangmalawakan, pangmaramihan, but these are initiatives for tourist destination that have been requested so that they can restart the economy. Walang blanket authority, but these are specific initiatives. So, kung nabigyan ng permission, it's only for that area and for a specific number only. We will not be giving additional for A4. So, it's only for the quantity that have been requested para ma-start yung economy. But for the private procured vaccines, they can use it. Of course, gagawin nila yung mga priority natin, but they can use it for whatever they like. So, pwede nang pang A4 and the others nila. Okay, so these are special initiatives, no? To just jumpstart the economy, especially for small areas. Hindi naman ibig sabihin yan, the whole of Bohol, lahat na ng kwan bibigyan ng A4. It's only for a specific sector and a specific number.
Yeah, Yusek, yun po yung naguluhan kami kasi walang prior advice either from NBOC or DOT na yun po yung arrangement. So, nagulat po kami regarding sa instruction. Coming from the province na po siya. So, wala kaming alam na mayroon parang ganong arrangement.
Ako din. Hindi ko alam din yun. So, we will just need to be more sensitive and more updated.
Okay,
But we will look into that. Thank you. Okay, Kwan? Is it okay to share the July shipment schedule? No. Kasi ang expect nila sa kanila yan, wala pang allocation. You just know that there are vaccines arriving. Although, and then hindi natin alam kung ano yung dadating. Kagaya nung Kwan, di ba? Gamalaya, Sputnik V was supposed to arrive July 7, hindi siya dumating on time. So, mahirap. You just say that there are vaccines arriving and they will be given vaccines accordingly. Ganun na lang. Anyway, nag-a-announce naman every time na may dadating ang mga vaccine at sinasalubong yan. Okay? Kung wala na, questions and comments? So again, yes, sino ito?
Sarah po.
Okay,
Isa
Sarah.
from Ma'am Lucita Tagudin, I hope included na dito sa procedure ang template ng tripartite agreement. Thank you.
Yes, di ba, Sham? Kasama na yan? Joshua May, if you are listening, dapat kasama na dyan. But anyway, if you have any questions, you can call your ARBOC chairs, or you can email sa COVID-19, C19. Pakitype mo nga, Dr. Kwan, Sarah. If they have queries to the C19 OPSEN something, I cannot memorize. Okay, so maraming salamat for your participation today. We learned a lot about the PhilHealth, our updates. We'd like to thank all of you for your continued hard work. This is not very easy, no? We have a multiple platforms. Iba-iba yung vaccine, iba-iba how to deal with it, iba-iba ang interval, iba-iba ang administration, tapos marami tayong kailangan gawa. So we salute all of you for all your hard work. We need to work harder though para ma-account natin yung mga vaccine and weekend job, especially the second doses of vaccine. No? Our priority continue to be NCR plus 8, and then we have A plus 10. And for the other vaccines that will be coming, please please be assured that we will be giving the other areas. Even the President takes note of our jobs and our distribution of vaccines. So, parang awan nyo na, pakicheck nyo naman yung inventory versus yung jobs nyo. So that, because this is also presented quickly to the President, and he knows saan ba yung mga area na may vaccine, sino ba ang nagpupunta. So, yan lang. Again, thank you. Thank you to our partners from the RBOX. Alam ko naghihintay na kayo ng vaccination ng ating ibang national government agencies as vaccines become more and more hindi kayo sabay-sabay mabibigyan, but if you can already have your plans and by tranches yan. Ang A4 natin ay government healthcare workers for NCR plus 8 plus 10. But in cases that are surge based on the assessment of the resus, then it can also be given in certain areas. Okay, so thank you very much to all who have attended, yung ating mga USEC, yung ating mga ASECs, yung ating mga directors, all our valued partners from the different line agencies. We have a new team, the vaccine security team, kasi nga because of the reported selling of the vaccine, that's one, kaya importante pong ma-account, pakibantayan nyo yung mga vaccine ninyo, and then the inventory is very important every 5 days so that we know how many were job, how many remained, and yeah, we have another cold chain, the resilient, the resilient, sandali Okay, pasensya na kaya tumatawag. Madami na akong boss na tumatawag sa akin. So, yan lang. We have also yung mga typhoon that are coming. There's a request, for instance, from Region 5. I don't know if they were able to join us. Nabigyan sila, even Region 4A, 4A at 4B, nabigyan ng vaccine in time for the calamities. But, you know, what we want is to vaccinate fast and as many, and not to keep so much inventory, except for, of course, for second doses. So, yun lang from my end. Maraming salamat. Can we now have the key agreements, Dr. Sarah?
Noted po, Isaac. We'll just share my screen. Okay, so good afternoon once again. Here are the key agreements of this afternoon's meeting. So, on the PhilHealth indemnity po, for the immediate causality assessment,
Sarah, palitan mo
Yes,
yung
Mr.
indemnity. You get the correct title explanation
Noted
of
po,
Dr. Ann. Okay.
Okay po, Yusek. We'll change it po. Thank you. So, immediate causality assessment is important and should be done as soon as possible. The duration of indemnity is 5 years until the completion of the national vaccine program. So the start was March 3, 2021 until the issuance of the CPR. So on the no-fault compensation for the RVOCs to ensure the designation of vaccination centers. For the DICT report, DICT to give access to PhilHealth on the line list submissions for the indemnity. Next po, on the messages and updates from the NVOC chair, on the emphasis on the second dose, there are AstraZeneca that will be due on August and need and should be administered as soon as possible. On the Delta variant, the most vulnerable should be vaccinated. Next is NEDA to provide the breakdown per area of the poor population. And for the RVOCs, to ensure that implementing units shall encode all vaccinations.
NEDA to provide the breakdown of the essential A4 yan.
Okay, noted po. Yes po, on the A4 population. And then RVOCs to ensure that implementing units shall encode all vaccinations in the line list, even those vaccinated beyond the prioritization, to facilitate PhilHealth claims of those who have experienced AEFIs, and to vaccinate as fast and as many. So, thank you po.
Especially with their second dose. So, yan lang. Maraming salamat.
Thank you po.
See you next time. We hope Sec Galvez can join us kasi sabi niya, I'd like to talk to the RVOCs. May I convey his personal gratitude for all the hard work that everyone is doing. But he would like to communicate his messages more. We would just find a time when he is available to talk with all of you. Maraming salamat. Meeting adjourned. Bye.
Thank you po.
Wow. Adjourn talaga to.
Recording